All right, guys, a lot to talk about and not a lot of time tonight. We're going to be running through a lot here. We're going to talk about, we had a huge week. We were down at the Titleist Regional Performance Center in Sleepy Hollow. We've got some highlights to share for that. That vlog is going to be dropping pretty much any minute, so stay tuned for that on our YouTube page. And we had a great interview on the podcast, which is right now, it's live on iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. We talked to Mike O'Reilly from Destination Kohler. That was episode 218 of the Golf Podcast. We were talking 2020 Ryder Cup. Mike, what else are we going to talk about tonight?
Oh, we got a lot to cover in a very short period of time. So quickly, just want to do a quick PGA Tour recap. Got some news out of Camp Big Cat today. So I want to talk a little bit about upcoming schedules, things like that, what's going on tour. Another thing, got my swing analysis from Andy and Piers from Me and My Golf. They came on the podcast. They offered swing analysis to both of us. I want to play mine tonight since your little Instagram clip isn't out yet. I know the video's out, but your clip's not out yet. So I think we'll do yours next week. Let's see what else. Tonight I think I'm going to skip State of Our Games, and I'm going to even put that on the shelf for a little while, Frank, and here and on the podcast, because our games are about to change big time. There's a lot of recalibration about to happen in yours and I's golf games.
Buddy.
So I'm going to put State of Our Games on the shelf. It's a segment I love. It just kind of started, but I know we're going to shelf it. What else? So we're going to record an awesome podcast tonight. This will be episode 219. And I also want to save a lot of the science behind yesterday's fitting for that discussion, not talk about that tonight. So you'll have to subscribe to the show to tune in to hear that topic. What else, Frank? The Facebook group. I wanted to mention this because it's just every day it keeps growing, and even the app. Both areas, by the way, completely free. The Golficity app and the Golf Podcast Facebook group.
We got Sully checking in. What's up, buddy? He says,
nice.
Pull the pin.
Pull the pin.
With those grenades that every time we shoot a video, people are like, I see a grenade in that bag.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But I'm sorry, I cut you off. I just saw that.
No, it's okay. The Titleist Fitting vlog will drop by the weekend, hopefully, so don't miss it. Get on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, youtube.com/Golficity. You'll get a notification when that drops. And Frank, this one's going to be long. It's going to be awesome. We had so much fun. We're going to talk about that in a sec.
We had so much fun. We're having trouble just cutting it down.
I know.
We've got like a 45-minute video that we're trying to turn into like 20 minutes max. It's so much content, so much information.
So much good stuff. Going to do a quick This Week on Instagram edition. We'll wrap it up there. I think that's probably good enough. We got to record episode 219 of the podcast. And again, a lot to talk about there. But by the way, Frank, like I said, the Facebook group, I wanted to highlight this because we're so close to getting 800 members in there. Yep. And it's my favorite thread. I read it every morning, instead of the disappointing and depressing news that's all out there. Between the Golficity app, the Facebook group, my morning coffee, it's like in a good place right now. I love it. So do me a favor. Do me a favor, being all of you watching, post links. Frank, post a link in the Facebook group, and everyone else post your comments tonight is what I was going to say, because we want to have a conversation going here tonight as well. The conversations in the Facebook group every day are just awesome. A lot of awesome things go on there. But tonight, let's talk about tonight's topics for sure.
Yeah, so while we're talking about that, I'm going to get that link up for the group like you talked about.
Because I want to break 800 tonight before this show ends. I think we're like 5 away, so hopefully people watching will jump in there.
That would be awesome. All right, hold on. Let me throw that. I'm going to throw that in the comments right now. So if you guys are not in the group, it's a free group. Definitely check it out. Let's post that right there. Hopefully that worked. There we go.
All right. And
there it is.
I see it. Perfect.
You can also just go on Facebook, just search the Golf Podcast under groups. It's a free group. Check that out for sure. And some great conversations going on in there. And I love some of the stuff that people have been sharing, some of their games, because now everybody seems to be getting out there and playing. So keep sharing those rounds because we love seeing them for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Frank. So nothing came in the mail this week, unfortunately, but not going to be upset about that because we were treated like royalty yesterday. And we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But let's touch on the PGA Tour. So we got some big news today coming out of Tiger's group, right?
There he is.
And love it. Loved how he played at the Players, by the way. And that third round was so impressive. So impressive. It was so great. Everyone was talking like 59 watch for Tiger after his front nine. I think he shot a 30 on that front Thursday. It was just unbelievable.
Well,
it's
even
good to see.
Sunday, Mother's Day, we're all kind of doing our Mother's Day thing. And then all of a sudden I check in and I see him T2 and I'm like, what? Wait a minute.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Then it got really exciting. T2, but by like 8 strokes. Webb was about to win by 400 strokes, come Friday. It was amazing. So hats off to Webb. That was pretty cool. But back to Tiger real quick. So he's coming back to Muirfield for the Memorial. No surprise with the shape that he's in. Why wouldn't he play a tournament that he's dominated? So he'll be there. I think that's his final tune-up before coming to New York here. For the U.S. Open, Shinnecock, and then I think he's going to play at his tournament, the National, and then I guess that'll take him right up to the British. So, pretty exciting stuff coming. I love that he's back. I love that he's playing well. I love the pairings. I love seeing him playing with like Ricky and Phil. I mean, those Thursday pairings, those Friday at work, not getting any work done. It's just
of course.
It's tough. But it's
especially
great.
now that there's 100,000 ways to watch the PGA Tour, whether it's like streaming live on like Twitter or PGA Tour Live, which I still think is like the best deal going.
Yep.
I think what do we pay like $30 a season for that? And I'm watching it every Thursday and Friday on my iPad or on my iPhone or whatever. I love that feature.
Yeah, it's cool. And by the way, the announcers on PGA Tour Live, they're so because they're nobodies and they're down to earth.
Yeah,
they're a pleasure to listen to. Not that I have anything against like the Faldos and the Jim Nances of the world. I mean, but I'm just saying. I mean, they give you golf the way it is on Thursday and Friday at 9 a.m. That's really it. And that's
only
what
the diehards are
exactly
listening.
Well, So it's great stuff. I love seeing that. I love that he's back, and I love that golf is great right now. And real quick, I just want to tell a story because I know this is kind of near and dear to both our hearts. A really good friend of mine, he got really excited a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Hey, I just found out that my buddy's playing in the Byron Nelson Pro-Am this week, and he asked me to caddy for him." Nice. I'm like, "Oh, so great." He's like pairing party, lottery, everything. So I'm like, dude, you were going to have the greatest time. He's watched our vlog. He showed his buddy our vlog. They were so amped up. He texted me last night he just writes, Billy Horschel. And I'm like, great pick, defending champion. I mean, awesome. You can't, that's unbelievable. So he sent me a photo today. I was going to show it on live, but I haven't gotten his permission. I couldn't reach him, so I was going to leave it alone. But him and his buddy with Horschel, Trinity Forest looks like an amazing course. I haven't seen it on TV ever. There's a lot of hype about it. It's a link-style course, and just all the photos he was sending me all day. I just said, keep sending them, and it just brought me back, Frank, to that epic day at Bay Hill.
You got to do that again. That was so much fun. But of course, Mike, the question's already coming in how the fitting was. Grant asked, "Hey guys, how was the fitting? It looked awesome."
Yeah, we're gonna talk all about. Well, actually, we're gonna talk a little bit about it tonight. We're gonna talk a lot on the podcast, so you have to tune in. There, we're going to dissect our TrackMan numbers there. It's going to be really good. We got a lot of fun and awesome stuff to share with you, and then of course the vlog. Yeah,
but on a scale of 1 to 10, it was about a 50.
Yeah, easily.
It was awesome.
It was unbelievable. All right, so pretty much kind of with the same theme as the PGA Tour, just moving on. Episode 218 of the podcast, golf podcast. If you haven't listened yet, it's out there. It's live. We had Michael O'Reilly from Destination Kohler talking about the 2020 Ryder Cup, like you mentioned at the top of the show, Frank. I want to play a quick from that quick clip, but this clip is actually Michael explains why Whistling Straits is a rare gem in the golf world.
Here, I'll let him run.
What makes it so great?
Yeah,
why is it one of the world's greatest?
The Straits course, and I asked that question a lot. The Straits course is one of the prettiest places in the world that you'll play golf. We hosted the 2007 U.S. Senior Open, and in the media center, Tom Watson was asked a similar question. What do you think about the golf course? And his response was that, he thinks it's probably the prettiest place he's ever played golf before in his life. So
imagine that. Tom Watson telling you it's the prettiest place ever played. And here's a guy who's played every course, in the world, every top beautiful course. So that was really cool. And that's certainly on my bucket list, Mike, is to get out there, especially, and you'll have to listen to the show if you guys haven't tuned into that one yet, but Michael talks a lot about the accommodations and what you can do out there and the diversity of the courses right at Destination Kohler. So you play like the Straits, but then they have the Irish and it just really can be, 4 or 5 courses right there, or I should say 4 courses right there that are just killer courses, and you can play them all, stay, and it's a home run if you can make it happen.
I just want to get out there for the drone alone. Imagine the videos for that. So let's put that on our list, whether it's going to play or going to the Ryder Cup or both.
Right.
Let's definitely talk about that later on.
Yeah.
All right, I can't hold it in anymore. So let's go right to the fitting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fitting. So it started early yesterday morning, pretty early. You came down, you met me at my place. We hopped in my car. We drove out to Sleepy Hollow in Westchester. Got there at 9 a.m., kind of got lost pulling into the place. We ended up by the stables. There's horses. We're like, I don't know where we're going. But then we finally got over to the Titleist Regional Fitting Center right on the grounds there at Sleepy Hollow. We met Kevin Sprecher. We have an image here. Frank, throw that up. Was I think you and I kicking things off of our vlog with Kevin.
Yes, here we go.
There he is right there. So, there we are, feeling good, looking good,
Kevin,
getting ready.
Was awesome guy. So,
He really was.
From the knowledge standpoint, patience, working with us through the whole thing. Because don't forget, these fittings, it's a long thing when you go through a full bag fitting. And he said when a lot of people approach him to do a full bag fitting, now we didn't have the benefit of doing this because just scheduling wise, we had to do it all in one day. But one thing that I remember him saying was he advises people, look, if you can break it up over 2 days, let's do it that way. Because for us, it ended up being 5 hours. And he told people, listen, if we're going to do this the right way for a full bag, anticipate you're going to hit 300-400 balls that day, which will wear you out if you're not used to doing it. And was true. I mean, it is as thorough as you can imagine. Like there are no shortcuts. There's no, whatever. So it was 5 hours worth of fitting. And that's why we're trying to get that video down to not be an hour long. But I just again want to thank Kevin and commend him for just not only, like I said, the superior job that he does, but also just like the patience and working through it because it's such a long day.
And, you use keyword there, patience, because like I said to you driving home, I was just impressed that he could have been a little lazy about the whole thing. I mean, there are people out there who would say, it looks good. You got a couple of good shots. Let's not even adjust the weights. I mean, he was so thorough. Right. He said, it looks good, but I want to try this weight.
Yeah, even when you
want to change this shaft.
Yeah, this is good. Like, I would be happy with this. And I talk about that on the video. And he's like, let's just try one more thing. And then
he just kept going.
Boom, you get a little bit more out of it and a little bit more out of it. And that to me was so impressive.
And I think the whole time he was building our confidence in these clubs so that when we do get them, we know that these things are fully fit for us exactly because of this thorough analysis that he put us through.
Yeah, and Mike here says, if you love golf, thorough is fun, right? It's exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're gonna. This is gonna be the last guy you see complain about taking 300, shots and working through a full bag fitting. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, I mean, my lower back is throbbing right now.
I posted a picture of my hand bleeding from hitting so many, and people are like texting me like first world problems, huh, buddy? And I'm like,
yeah, I know exactly. Nobody feels bad for my back problem.
But I was impressed with that. And the other thing that one big takeaway for me, and I know we're going to talk about this a lot on the podcast this week, which we're recording tonight, and that's going to drop on Sunday, so definitely tune in for that. But one big takeaway for me was how Kevin was telling us that although one big thing they're trying to dispel as far as a rumor is that you have to reach a certain level to get a fitting. And what he said was, surprisingly, it's the golfers with kind of I want to say I can't think of a better word for it. So like a less ability that'll get more out of a fitting than your really upper echelon golfers. And the reason he says it's such a good reason. I hadn't thought about this before. He said a very, very good golfer can pretty much adjust their swing to maximize any club. So you can change the club in their hands, and it may take them a couple swings, but they'll feel the club and they'll change it and make that club work. The other side, when you have a golfer, let's say like our level, mid-level handicappers and guys like us, there we get more benefit by having the club adjust to us rather than us having to adjust to the club. So what he said is, sure, with your top tier tour pro guys, they're going through similar types of fitting, going through different shafts and stuff like that, but they're tweaking fine, very minute, like just squeezing a little bit more out of it or whatever it is. Whereas for you and I, Mike, we saw tremendous changes in things like dispersion and distance.
Exactly.
Just from like these things. So for us, it was like kind of low hanging fruit, right? It would just all of a sudden be like, boom, it would get that much better. So that's where we're finding that you don't need to be a scratch golfer to benefit from a fitting. It's actually quite, the opposite.
Right. And I love it when we first got there, Kevin said, are you more concerned with distance or dispersion? And we were, I think you and I both said dispersion.
Because everybody wants something different out of their games. Like, what do you guys want out of your game? What do you want to do? And then another thing that I thought was smart is he said, do you want me to, because as amateurs, we're always looking to improve. He's like, would you like me to fit you to where you are right now and improve this? Or is there something, because Kevin also being a coach, and that's where it's great when you have a coach who's a fitter. And if he's working with you on both sides, he'll say, would you like me to fit you to where you're going? Like, what are you working on? And for me, I told him, I'm like, let's split the difference because I want to see some performance now, but I also am working on these few things. And I told him what I was working on. He's like, okay, I'm going to fit you right to the middle of that so that you'll get a lot more legs out of these clubs for a longer period of time. So I thought that was smart as well.
Yeah, it was great, and I'm gonna pause you there because I'm gonna save that for the podcast.
Save it
because I'm gonna have you repeat that.
'Cause I could talk about this all day, you know that.
I know, and I know you're going to. I know this one's gonna be a long episode tonight. So, so here, just a couple of quick findings. First, we discovered that Frank can in fact hit a hybrid. Everybody, he didn't have any faith in it. I don't think he was in love with the 3-iron. He still may be. I don't know, but he is going. I think you are gonna be getting the hybrid. It is gonna be in the bag.
Yes.
The H1. Okay.
Yes. And kicking and screaming, that's again with the thoroughness. I said, I can't hit hybrids. I don't want to hit hybrids. And like, let's just try it. And like, here's the result.
For you. Right? Here's the result.
Uh-oh.
Check it out.
Frank's hitting hybrid. This is a rare sighting. Let's hit it.
Think of this as a 5-iron.
Kill this guy.
Okay? Like a 5-iron.
Like a 5-iron.
There you go. Very nice.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to get good with that.
And there
hybrid.
too, it's like using that benefit of Kevin being an instructor, because I don't play hybrids, I didn't know how to hit them. And he's like, and I'm not so used to hitting down on the ball with a club like that. And he's like, you have my permission to hit down on the ball. And you hear him say in that video, he says, swing it like it's a 5-iron. And when I did that, it changed a lot for me. And in my case, what it ended up doing is I'm using a low lofted hybrid to replace my 5-wood, because I told him, I'm like, it's dead weight in my bag. I'm not using it now. I'm not hitting my 5-wood. And he was able to use I forget what we went with. I got to look at the specs. Maybe it was a 19 degree. And he ended up getting me more distance than what I was getting with my 5-wood out of that hybrid. And it's easier for me to hit it.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, you had one right here, 221 total carry with a 1.5 smash factor. Jeez, and
hit on my smash.
They hit on your smash, but let me tell you something, it's legit. Everyone, everywhere he goes, he's putting up those numbers. So that was excellent. And with me, Frank, it was the driver. I mean, I was going in there most concerned with driver, and long story short, I had too light of a driver. He made it heavy. The D2 917, we're both going with the same head, but my shaft is very, very different than yours. And let's show them why.
And we're going to start taking, submissions now for Mike's new nickname with this shaft. Are you ready?
Yeah.
We'll certainly see you coming.
Uh-huh.
So take 3. Yeah. How good was that?
Yeah, seriously. That break 3?
115, 3600 spin, 285 carry, 310 total.
310 total.
Give me the bumblebee setup.
Shows you what being fitted.
Yellow bomber shaft.
All right, cool.
Like I said, you're gonna walk up to the first tee of the yellow shaft. You better mash it, and you mash it.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part right there.
Wow.
I just amazed myself there.
And the funny thing is, if you look at that range, it's two sides, because it's a huge range. So on the other side, there's people hitting at you this way, and you're hitting at them, but it's supposed to be enough distance. Well, Mike put it into the other side where the people were standing. Never thought you'd have to yell 4 on a driving range, huh?
Nope.
Here you go. Mike.
Bumblebee, there it is.
I love it. So
good.
Great stuff, man. That was so much fun.
Yeah, that was great. Let's see what else, Frank. I got so excited about that, I kind of lost track. All right, so the fitting was good. The vlog will drop, like we said, by the weekend, so then you could see the whole thing there. But speaking of, my performance yesterday out there, I felt like I was hitting some really awesome shots, and part of it came from, what I've learned from our friends Andy and Piers over at Me and My Golf. Now, Frank. What do we got?
Brian says, I'm ready to get fitted after watching that. Seriously,
Perfect.
Like I said, we just 2-3 years ago, I had never even been through a fitting. And these last 2 seasons where we've gone through the putter fittings, driver fittings, iron fittings. Now we went through full bag fitting, wanting to get experience with everything. I've learned more in those fittings than I think I have in just equipment wise in any of my independent research. It's just like these guys who do the fittings and the people we've worked with, they're all so knowledgeable. And it's just like these little gems, and hopefully you guys will get to see a lot of those in the video, which will be dropping soon, because it's just like the explanation, especially that Kevin was giving, and why this works. And then I feel like we talk about this being a game of confidence. I get that much more confidence when I understand it, and I understand the club, and I understand, and things like shafts like that I hadn't really put a ton of thought into. We all look at like the latest driver head and what it looks like and stuff like that. But he's like, the shaft is the engine of the club. And then when you start to realize how they work and the different flexes, it's just incredibly enlightening. Incredibly.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, and it blows my mind how just changing the shaft will do so much.
And one thing I'll say before we get away from the fitting, I understand how these fittings can get expensive, but we also have talked about before how some of them are less expensive. But there's ways to accomplish it, because Mike, I think with Titleist, don't they do what they have fitting Fridays, right?
No, I was just going to mention, it's actually called Titleist Thursday, your day off. Titleist Thursdays.
I like my branding, Fitting Fridays. Maybe we'll talk to Titleist about moving that.
Yeah, get him on the phone.
But look, if you go to Titleist.com, in this instance, like I know there's others that do it as well, but if you go to Titleist.com, you can look up where they have these fittings that are going on. What's the name again, Mike?
Titleist Thursday.
Titleist Thursday.
Oh, what? Yes.
How can I forget that? But anyway, you can look that up, and then they have them set up, and they have different aspects of that fitting that you can go to, and they're free. So there's different ways to get it done. In other words,
I just say just go and do it. It's like getting a free range session, and you walk away with a progress report. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Right. And it was amazing. What we learned, totally amazing. So, all right, moving on, Frank. Like I said, I was hitting really well yesterday as a result of what Andy and Piers at Me and My Golf did for both of us.
Yeah.
But about a week ago, they sent me my swing analysis as they promised. They came on the podcast and they offered it up. I sent them a video. They did the full analysis. They sent it a week ago. You probably have seen it. If not, we're going to share a clip with you in a sec. But actually, you know what? Let's just share it now because I love this. I love what they did.
I just looked at the screen and I realized since I came straight from the office to this that I'm dressed like Phil Mickelson right now.
You really are. You got the Phil,
I got the Phil look. I just need like Workday right here.
You got to get a Sharpie and write Workday on yourself.
Oh God! All right, sorry to cut you off. Let's do your swing analysis here.
Let's do it.
Look at the hips because we have a little bit of a sway in the backswing. So that sway off the golf ball, even though you can see by his downswing,
that's a big problem for a lot of golfers.
Moving back really well to the golf ball could cause him a few problems. We can see though in full motion that the club is coming down over the top. So look how much rotation he gets in his pelvis, and the club shaft hasn't even dropped below the level of his shoulders. So his hips are pretty much parallel to the target line, and the club shaft has hardly moved down into its downswing. Now that movement there, that really excessive, aggressive hip rotation, is what's causing that club to be thrown out down over the top.
So, yeah, I mean, amazing that breakdown. And then, you see that sway, and so many people lose power when they sway, but you move back towards the ball so aggressively, you're able to do it. But sometimes that's all it takes is just like that little, just someone else pointing it out and just seeing things you didn't see because you're so engrossed in your own swing. But those guys are awesome. The fact they took the time to break down both of our swings, awesome. And then I know pretty much everybody on earth is following their YouTube channel, but if you're not, check it out. And they have a program on there right now where they're giving away, swing analysis. You can win them, and all the details are on there. So, anything, as a favor, if we can send their way, I want to do it because those guys have been so good to us. They're just great guys.
And yours is great, and I can't wait for us to share that. I love what they did with yours.
Yeah.
All right, Frank, we've got...
Here's a great question. If we can just answer this real quick. Brian says, probably totally different experiences, but after going to Club Champion and your Titleist fitting, which would be a better way to get fit? So one thing I will say is that the Club Champion, we didn't get a chance to do... we did a what do you call it fitting there? A putter fitting. And which is at Titleist, that's the only thing that we didn't do. So it's hard to compare them apples to apples. But what I will say is I love the idea, whether it be Club Champion or Pete's Golf, which we did, the independent fitters are really great because you're able to work with all the different manufacturers and find what you need. Interestingly enough, when we did that, they identified Titleist as fitting best to our game anyway. But what dispelled any types of worries for me there of going to just one manufacturer was the breadth of product that they had just within the Titleist line. There was 1,000 shafts there. Okay.
Right.
So if they can't find the right thing for your game in that, there's something wrong. So what I would say is I wouldn't worry so much about single manufacturer versus, going through the spectrum as much as just ensuring that they're going to be thorough. If you're going to go into like a fitting and it's like sometimes like they do this just at like some of the stores and like somebody's there to help fitting and it's like a free like 30-minute fitting and they're just going to, have you hit one iron versus another or here, hit this driver versus that one. That's when the bells kind of go off that this isn't like a full, I'm not getting everything. I'm not exploring all my options. But if you get into a situation where you see that thoroughness and even with Titleist, the shafts that we went through, those are not Titleist shafts. It's what they use as part of their program. They'll make sure you're fitting to the right thing. So I would say, whichever one you do, err on the side of making sure they're being really thorough. If within 5 minutes they've got the idea of like what they want you to be, walking out of the store with, and it's like it feels like it's really salesy, that's a different story, but this didn't feel like that at all. No matter who we did. I mean, and I think that's a good thing to look for is like their independent credentialing and stuff like that. Every one of these guys, independently credentials, independently rated as far as top fitters go. I think that's that next level where you really feel like that walking out of that confidence that you've done the right thing for your game and it wasn't just a sales tool, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, good point.
Yeah.
All right, Frank, with a minute to go, let's wrap it up with a quick this week on Instagram. I love these videos. They get me through the week.
Yep.
Let's start it with the rake bunker. This guy, last week we saw one end, the nubs part of the rake.
Yep.
This guy turned the rake around and tried it his way.
I would love to get out of the bunker with any club in my bag that well.
Any club, I know.
That was
great shot. And then what we got here? We got Kyle from Cart Barn, guys. He's we just call this one buckets. He's got a bucket hat on and he's just dropping buckets from the sand.
Too good. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to it on Karin's podcast, the iHeart Golf podcast, go back. I think it's episode 6, but go back and listen to her interview. With the Cart Barn guys and just tremendous what he's doing, working his way out towards the PGA Tour. But if you follow at Cart Barn guys on Instagram and you just see some of the stuff that he can do with shot shaping a golf ball, it's like
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up with this last one. We call this backfire. This was hot on
like,
Instagram
how's your
all week.
Going through
the
tree.
You see, I flinch every time.
I
can watch 100 times. I'm going to flinch. But I tell you what were those guys thinking? Come on. You're asking for it.
Silly. All right, Frank, that's all I got.
All right, well, great stuff. Thank you, everybody who jumped in the conversation with your comments. But definitely, like I said, I feel like it's finally warm here in the Northeast and we're hitting the ground running. Lots of stuff coming up, both on the podcast, the videos, everything. And we're going to be just, coming at you guys with that. Check it out. Check it out in the app for sure.
Sorry. Big week next week, right?
Huge week.
Huge.
Next week.
Okay.
I think we'll do another play like Where Frank and Mike because we're going to be traveling next week and it's going to be a lot of fun. But follow it on social. That's the quickest way you see it because on Snapchat and on Instagram at Golficity, we do our little behind-the-scenes stories. That's how a lot of people saw the fitting before we've dropped the video. As well as definitely check out the Golficity app. You can download that for iOS and Android. All the videos, all the podcasts, everything is there. So check it out, and we'll see everybody again next week, and we'll have some surprises for you.